Born Percy Miller in 1970, Master P was raised in the 1,800-unit plus Kaleo projects of New Orleans' Third Ward in living conditions that were harsh. Miller is the oldest of his 5 siblings, including 2 brothers who are fellow rappers, Corey C. Murder Miller and Vishon Silk the Shocker Miller. Miller grew up in the B.W. Cooper Public Housing Development, also known as the Kaleo Projects, which was one of the notorious housing projects in New Orleans. In the late 1970s, after his parents divorced, P and his siblings split their time between the home of their paternal grandparents in New Orleans and their mother's new home in Richmond, California. In a 3-bedroom apartment housing 12 children, P had no choice but to sleep in the hallway on the apartment's hard wooden floor. Regular trips to Richmond to visit his mother and other siblings provided only a brief respite. Master P attended Booker T. Washington High School and Warren Easton High School in New Orleans, Louisiana. After graduating, P was offered an athletic scholarship to play basketball at the University of Houston. He attended the university as a freshman but dropped out after a few months to transfer to Merritt College in Oakland, California, where he majored in business administration. Miller played college basketball briefly before being sidelined by a knee injury. Not long afterwards, his brother Kevin was murdered in New Orleans, underscoring the need for Miller to remove himself and his family from the endemic poverty and violence of his hometown. Master P's initial venture into music involved being the beatmaker for a Bay Area rap group called 12 Gauge and the Hit Squad. During the same year, Percy and his wife Sonia welcomed their son, whom they named Percy Romeo Miller Jr. Master P later on inherited $10,000 as part of a malpractice settlement after the death of his grandfather and used the money to open No Limit Records, a Richmond, California record store that would also be the name of his record company. Master P later learned that rap fans liked supergroups like NWA. This knowledge, coupled with inspiration from Eazy-E's NWA, led him to form a hip-hop group he named The Real Untouchables, or TRU, together with his brothers, C. Murder and Silk the Shocker, his wife, and friends Big Ed, Daniel Fry, King George, Fonzo, Milkman, and Marcus Magic Mark Bank. The first release was a 4-track LP called Mind of a Psychopath, released February 15, 1990. The label went on to release Master P's solo EP, Get Away Clean, produced by K-Lou and recorded at K-Lou Studios, also in Richmond. Despite a lack of promotion and radio play, Miller built a core audience in the early 1990s. No Limit's first official release was Master P's 1991 debut full-length album, Get Away Clean, also featuring The Real Untouchables. Between 1993 and 1994, Master released some individual works and works as part of the Real Untouchables group. Some of the released work include Tell Them What's Going On, Ghetto is a Trap, Who's the Killer? Bastard Child, The Ghetto's Trying to Kill Me, and Escape from the Mental Ward. By 1994, Master P had discovered that he could sell 100,000 records on his own and make as much money as big label artists who sold more than that. He released 2 double CD collections, Down South Hustlers Volume 1 and West Coast Bad Boys Volume 1, that featured a variety of rap artists popular in their respective regions, and released a second solo album, 99 Ways to Die. Master P's brilliance in marketing stemmed from his practical knowledge of retail and distribution, allowed him to tap into his customers' genuine desires. He applied this hands-on experience to shape the conceptualization, recording, design, and promotion of his label's albums. Even though No Limit Records faced challenges with radio airplay, television, and coverage in hip-hop magazines, Master P's exceptional word-of-mouth reputation in the streets and local stores proved to be phenomenal. Each No Limit album contained a minimum of 20 new songs that would run to more than 70 minutes, about 20 minutes longer than the average pop CD. 2 CD compilations were sold for the price of one. The company relocated to New Orleans around 1995, where regional hits such as Bout It helped establish No Limit's Southern credentials. No Limit entered a New Orleans that was already abundant with talent, featuring artists from local labels such as Cash Money Records, Untouchable, Big Boy Records, Take FO, Parkway Pumpin', and Tombstone. Parkway Pumpin', a label which operated without contracts, had been the home to several rappers who later on joined Master P's No Limit Records. These artists include Magnolia Slim aka Soulja Slim, Mystical Mike aka Mystical, Lil Mac the Lyrical Midget, Fiend, and the duo of Mr. Serv-On and Da Hound from De Gert Town Hounds. In 1996, the Los Angeles-based rap label Priority Records, which had recently become a part of London's electric and musical industries, sought out talent in New Orleans. They struck a significant deal with Master P, signing a $30 million distribution agreement. Under this deal, Master P retained ownership of No Limit's master recordings and recording studio. For P, this meant that he wouldn't have to sell CDs out of his car, but the deal also allowed him to remain independent from the larger labels he saw as wasteful and unnecessary, full of middlemen who stifle creativity, decision-making, and, ultimately, profits. Master P expanded the No Limit roster by bringing in diverse talents, including the highly regarded female rapper Mia X, along with other artists from the South spanning rap, R&B, and gospel genres. Some New Orleans-based rappers, including Mystical, Fiend, street legend Soulja Slim, Cain and Abel, Magic, and Skullduggery also joined Master P. Miller signed the iconic West Coast artist Snoop Dogg, who released several albums between 1998 and 2001. Master P established a No Limit headquarters and recording studio in Baton Rouge, affectionately named the Ice Cream Shop. Additionally, he ventured into scriptwriting, penning screenplays for his own movies. He intended to produce these films independently, keeping the budget low at $1 million, and market them to the same audience that purchased his records. He believed he couldn't go wrong. In his role as a businessman, Miller embarked on an ambitious path of diversification. By 1998, Master P was listed as the 10th highest paid entertainer and the top-ranked rapper by Forbes magazine, with $56.5 million in earnings. He explored various ventures, including film, launching a clothing line, and briefly venturing into sports management. Additionally, he made a short-lived, intense attempt to establish himself as a professional basketball player. Despite a few chart successes from the 504 Boys, a group modeled after Cash Money's Hot Boys, No Limit's influence began to decline in 2000. In 2001, Miller severed ties with Priority and entered into a distribution agreement with Universal Records for his rebranded new No Limit label. His fortunes declined with the rise of another independent label from the city, Cash Money Records, to national prominence. No Limit would change names and distribution relationships twice in the subsequent years, but the new No Limit never made as much of an impact as the original.